So welcome to Universe's Journey Through the Universe. We have been hosting a series of conversations every month with different middle school ecosystem stakeholders in education. That is principals in January, counselors in February. And this month we are talking to workforce representatives and employers, asking about the need, the viability for an upstream approach at the middle
Hmm.
school level that it will put students on a pathway to workforce readiness.
I love this. That's why I'm like, I want to hear it all.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. Okay, good, 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 good.
Yes.
Okay, all right. So you already know this, but just to frame it properly, Texas is investing billions of dollars in workforce development. Yet many workforce leaders are observing gaps in essential skills. These essential skills tend to be what was normally called soft skills
Hmm.
in communication, critical thinking, persistence, and especially after COVID, they've been noticing that the gaps have been widening
Hmm.
on top of social media, technology. So, the questions that we're asking today is, are workforce readiness gaps emerging earlier than our current investments address? And what risks emerge for workforce systems if early engagement gaps remain unaddressed? So
Okay.
this, do engagement gaps exist and how do they affect long-term work outcomes? So for an example, how does disengagement impact skill acquisition, pathway completion, or post-secondary workforce entry?
They're not going to be engaged. They're not going to get spark. It's not going to spark interest. So yes, that they're not going to be able to acquire the skill or learn something new if their mind is somewhere else, right? Everything I'm going to probably answer is going to go back to mental health and support for resources because I feel
No,
like that's
absolutely.
where.
Do you, for your particular workspace, do you have workers that display indicators of early disengagement in their formative
Yes,
years? And what
yes.
does that look like? Like we can have like lack of value, or have you a person where you can assume that, oh yes, you must have had something that has caused you to be emotionally dysregulated early
100%.
on, and I still see it here. You have had
Yes.
lack of motivation. Share a little bit about what that experience is for you.
Not to get too personal, but obviously I know they would share their dynamics, right? When they were
Yeah.
younger, growing up. And so it definitely, even though he went to school, received, masters and did all of that, you can still see the lack of value, the ADHD, right? That was never undiagnosed and never
Hmm.
treated.
Yep, yep, yep. Similar stories that we've been having in conversations with business owners along these lines. We've heard things like um, one employee or interns and employees, but employees who they're so readily easy to quit. You know, as soon as something doesn't go their way, or as soon as something doesn't happen, or they feel embarrassed because they made a mistake, they're ready to
Mm,
quit, not knowing that, we can work through it.
hmm.
They would rather just quit, even if they think there is a possibility to work through it. They don't want to deal with that. They would rather just quit.
Yeah.
Also, there's a thing called the Gen X stare that I just
Mm,
learned about through these conversations, where interns who were who were brought on for community engagement, which included telephone calls, but they
oh
didn't want to
no.
make the telephone calls. They don't want to call. They don't want to talk. What would change for your organization if incoming workers consistently arrived motivated, self-aware, and capable of managing themselves before technical training even begins?
Um, Onboarding would be smoother. I think they'll probably be able to, get instead of a 6 month period, it might be three months for them to get acquainted with, their new job and what the goals are and kind of get into it a little better. So it will take a little bit of a burden off of us as employers as well.
Would workforce development programs that build identity, purpose, and decision making at the middle school level make a positive influence in workforce productivity for you?
Of course, yeah.
We've heard that too, but we've also heard, but we need to see the outcomes. Like, what would the outcomes look like for
Oh
us
yeah,
for
for
investing
sure.
in early
Are you guys doing case
upstream?
studies? I'm sorry, I'm gonna have I have questions. Like following the journey of a middle schooler through, adulthood to see the impact. I think that's the only way we could really see, have a group.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm going to do some additional research on the state and to see what kind of data they have because, like I said, they're already investing. They have eighth graders making